thank you. Wow, it is great to be here, and I want to thank Tricia for being an operating room nurse and being a volunteer in this campaign. And I want to thank all the volunteers, everyone who has helped reach out to voters. I want to thank my friend of many years, your Senator Bill Nelson, for being here. Congresswoman Lois Frankel, Congressman Ted Deutsch, all the elected officials, but especially all of you. There are only 13 days left in this important election. And I have to tell you, it is so clear how high the stakes are. And I am going to work as hard as I can over these next 13 days, reaching out to as many people as possible. We can't take our foot off the gas even for a short time. Every vote counts. Just ask my friend, former Vice President Al Gore. And Lake Worth can make the difference. Florida can make the difference. And if people get out and vote, we will have a victory on November the 8th. Also in the crowd is Randy Parker. Randy, raise your hand, and I hope you will send Randy to Congress. And thank you so much for singing to me. Oh, I love your signs. That's great. Vote early, Florida. That's great. You know, I hope that one of the best gifts that you can give yourselves would be sending Patrick Murphy to the United States Senate. He's exactly the kind of senator that Florida deserves. He'll be an independent voice, speaking out and working on your behalf. He's a proven problem solver. He's fought for comprehensive immigration reform with a pathway to citizenship. He has defended Planned Parenthood and a woman's right to make her own health care decisions. He's brought Democrats and Republicans together to protect our environment and fund Everglades restoration. That's what we need. We need somebody who will help to break the gridlock, to stand up and help create more good jobs with rising wages. Stand up to the gun lobby and advocate for common sense gun safety reforms. And help in the fight against climate change to protect the future of Florida. He will also defend and strengthen Social Security and Medicare. Everyone who works hard during your lifetime should be able to retire with dignity. And the benefits that you have earned should not be cut or privatized. And remember this, unlike his opponent, Patrick Murphy has not been afraid to stand up to Donald Trump and his dangerous, divisive campaign. Now, did anybody see the last debate? You know, I stood next to Donald Trump for 4.5 hours in those 3 debates, proving, I think, once and for all, I have the stamina to be president. And no matter what he did, no matter what he said, no matter how he stalked me and lurked over me, I just kept thinking about what Michelle Obama said, when he goes low, we go high. And boy, has he gone low, right? But among the many things that he has said, which are deeply troubling and disturbing, he said something truly horrifying in that last debate. He said that he would not necessarily respect the results of the election. He actually refused to say that he would when asked directly. Now, you got to understand, as I was standing there, nobody, Republican, Democrat, Nobody who's ever run for president has ever said that before. And so I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. This is the guy who said the Emmys were rigged against him when his TV show didn't win. But this is serious, and it's the reason I've been bringing it up at all my stops here in Florida, partly because I was horrified by it, but also because, think about this. When you are sworn in as president, you take an oath. You take an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. And listening to Donald Trump's campaign, I truly doubt that he has ever read the Constitution. Or if he did, back in school, he certainly doesn't remember it, and he doesn't understand. It is the most important founding document for the longest lasting, greatest democracy in the history of the world. In America, we don't say we're going to keep you in suspense about whether we'll respect the outcome of an election. We have free and fair elections and a peaceful transfer of power. That is one of the things that makes America who we are. And we fool around with that, and we criticize that at our peril. You know, as your Secretary of State, I went to 112 countries, and a lot of those countries are ones that are not democracies, or they're only pretend democracies. They actually have authoritarian leaders or dictators. And yeah, you know what? They rig their elections. You know, somebody running gets 99.9% of the vote. We've seen this. We know what that means. And some of you, either yourselves or your parents or your grandparents, came from places where that went on. And we can never tolerate anyone running to be president of the United States who undermines and questions our fundamental democratic values. Now, we know he has spent his entire campaign attacking one group of Americans after another. He's attacked immigrants, he's attacked African Americans and Latinos and POWs and Muslims and people with disabilities, and boy, has he attacked women. But now his final target is democracy itself. And we have faced challenges to our democracy before, and we've got to keep working until we have a more perfect union. And our very first president understood that. I mean, George Washington refused to become a king. You know, folks were saying, hey, you know, this president thing is okay, but maybe we should have a king. Well, we had a revolution to get out from under one king. And George Washington was wise enough to say, no, I'm going home. We need to have the peaceful transfer of power. One person can't act like they're in charge of everything in America. That's not who we are. We disagree, in case you haven't noticed. But then we come together and we roll up our sleeves and we get things done. And I so admire George Washington for many things, but for that decision, it was one of the most important decisions in our history. Now, I'm sure Donald Trump would probably have called him a loser because he voluntarily gave up power so that we could have elections that would choose our leaders. But here's the good news, and there is a lot of good news. You know, sometimes when you listen to Donald Trump and the Trump world he lives in, it can get a little disturbing, dark, dangerous, and divisive. I don't recognize the America he describes. There are a lot of problems we've got, and we're going to have to address them, and I intend to do that. But at the very moment that Donald Trump was making this unprecedented attack on our democracy, we've had millions and millions of people registering to vote, voting early, and volunteering. In fact, this is really exciting to me. We've reached a milestone. More than 200 million Americans are registered to vote, the biggest number we've ever had in our history. And maybe most exciting, more than 50 million of them are young voters. After all, this election is more important to young people than anybody else. And to have you register and then turn out and vote is absolutely terrific. And you know what else? Listen to this. More than 10 million people have already voted in this election. And 2 million of them right here in Florida. So Florida's already cast 20% of the votes that have been already in the ballot box. Now, I got to tell you, I've heard some really inspiring stories. I'll just tell you one. Stephen from St. Augustine has been fighting a rare form of leukemia and heart disease. He's been in and out of the hospital a dozen times in the last 2 years. But he told his family, told his friends, he told the nurses and the people in the hospital how important it was that he get a chance to vote. So I heard yesterday he ditched his oxygen tank, which I would not have recommended. He clung to his walker, he stood in line, and he cast his vote for a better America. Don't let anybody tell you they don't have time to vote in this election with somebody like Stephen making that enormous effort. And you only see numbers like this when people are motivated to stand up for what they really believe in. And I really believe Americans are coming together at the end of this election, and not just Democrats, but Republicans and independents. And I want to thank all the Republicans and the independents who are here today, who are part of making our country better for everyone. And you know what? This is not just about what we're against. It's about what we're for. We have a lot of things to be for. It's about a common vision we share of a hopeful, dynamic, unified America where everyone counts and everyone has a place. So I really believe it may be my name on the ballot, but it really is about all of you. Every issue you care about, every concern you have about our country or the world, just imagine that being on this ballot. It really does come down to who we are as a country. The future of the economy is on the ballot. I believe when the middle class thrives, America thrives. And I have said this for many years. I believe this so strongly because I come from a middle class family. My father was a small businessman. His father was a factory worker. That's how it's supposed to work in America. People work hard, they provide for their families, and people keep moving forward. That's what I want for everyone. I want every single person here to have your chance at the American dream. And the American dream is big enough for everybody. It's not exclusive to any one group of people. We're going to make the biggest investment in good new jobs since World War II. Jobs in infrastructure, manufacturing, technology, small business, and clean energy.